In the bustling city, where trains arrived and departed like the steady beat of a drum, a small Akita puppy named Hachiko found his home with a kind professor named Hidesaburo Ueno. The professor, a gentle and disciplined man, had always longed for a companion, and when he saw the tiny pup with soft golden fur and curious eyes, he knew they were meant to be together. From the moment Hachiko was brought into the professor's home, an unbreakable bond formed between them. Hachiko quickly became a part of the professor's daily life. Every morning he would walk alongside him to the busy train station, his tail wagging happily as he trotted beside his master. The station workers and vendors soon became familiar with the sight of the devoted dog standing at the entrance, watching his beloved owner board the train for work. "You're a good dog, Hachiko," the professor would say, patting his head before stepping onto the train. And every evening, without fail, Hachiko would return to the station, waiting patiently for the professor's return. This routine continued for years, a testament to the unwavering devotion Hachiko held for his master. The seasons changed, the leaves turned golden in the fall, and snow blanketed the streets in winter. But Hachiko never missed a day. He would sit at his usual spot, watching the travelers come and go, his ears perking up whenever a familiar silhouette appeared in the distance. The professor loved Hachiko dearly. He often spoke to his students about the importance of loyalty and the lessons he had learned from his beloved pet. At home, the two shared quiet evenings. The professor would read books aloud while Hachiko rested at his feet, his deep brown eyes reflecting the warmth of their companionship. On weekends, they would take long walks through the lush parks, where Hachiko would chase butterflies and bark at the birds before returning to his master's side, always watchful, always devoted. Neighbors often marveled at Hachiko's intelligence. He seemed to understand more than an ordinary dog. He could sense the professor's moods and would nuzzle him gently whenever he detected even the slightest sadness. The connection they shared was deeper than words, a silent understanding that only true companions could know. But one fateful day, tragedy struck. Professor Ueno suffered a fatal stroke at work and never returned home. Unaware of the sad reality, Hachiko waited at the station that evening, his tail wagging expectantly. But the professor never came. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Yet Hachiko remained steadfast. Through rain, snow, and the harsh seasons, he continued to wait at the same spot every single day. The station workers, touched by his devotion, began feeding him. The vendors, who had grown fond of the dog, set out small bowls of water and scraps of food. Passers-by stopped to admire his patience and loyalty, some even shedding tears at the sight of the lonely dog, waiting for someone who would never return. As the years went by, Hachiko became a fixture at the station. Commuters would greet him in the morning and check on him in the evening. Some would sit beside him, offering him company, while others would bring him warm blankets in the winter. The children who passed through the station would stop to pet him, whispering words of comfort, though Hachiko never seemed to seek affection from anyone but the one he had lost. A florist near the station, an elderly woman who had known the professor, took special care of Hachiko. She made it her duty to ensure he had enough food and water each day. "He's waiting for someone he loves," she would say to those who asked about him. "We should all be so lucky to know love like that." Journalists took notice of the devoted dog, and one in particular, Sato Hirokichi, decided to document his story. He followed Hachiko for days, capturing his routine, speaking to those who had come to love him, and ultimately publishing an article that spread across the country. People from far and wide came to see Hachiko, leaving offerings and prayers at the station. His story of unwavering loyalty touched hearts in ways no one could have imagined. Over time, Hachiko's body began to show signs of aging. His fur became matted, his once bright eyes dimmed, and his movements grew slower. Yet his spirit remained unbroken. He still arrived at the station every day, waiting for a master who would never return. He spent nights curled up in alleyways or under station benches, never straying far from the place where he had last seen his beloved owner. Some days were harder than others. The winters were cruel, with icy winds howling through the station corridors. Hachiko would curl up in a small sheltered corner, shivering from the cold, but never leaving his post. The kindness of strangers kept him alive, as station workers brought him warm meals and old blankets. But as much as people cared for him, He seemed only to long for one thing, the return of his beloved master. As the years passed, Hachiko became a living legend. In 1934, he was honored with a bronze statue at the busy train station, with the professor's friends and students present at its unveiling. The day the statue was revealed, Hachiko himself attended, standing quietly as if he understood that this tribute was meant for him. The people who gathered wiped their tears as they watched the old faithful dog sit beside the statue, his duty still unfulfilled. But time is unkind, even to the most faithful. On March 8, 1935, Hachiko took his final breath near the station, his watch finally ending. His body was found lying in the cold, his frail form a testament to his decade-long vigil. The entire nation mourned. Newspapers ran stories of his passing, and thousands attended his memorial service, paying respects to a dog who had come to symbolize undying loyalty. Even in death, Hachiko was not forgotten. His body was preserved and placed in a historical museum where visitors could continue to honor his story. The statue of Hachiko remains at the busy train station, a meeting place for lovers, friends, and those who believe in the power of devotion. Every year on April 8th, a ceremony is held at the station in his memory. People from across the country and the world gather to pay tribute to Hachiko, the dog whose love never faded. Artists have painted his portrait, and filmmakers have brought his story to life on screen. His statue remains a place where travelers pause, reflect, and take photos, remembering a dog whose loyalty touched millions. To this day, Hachiko's story lives on, reminding the world of the incredible love and loyalty that one dog held for his owner. His tale is more than just a story of a faithful pet. It is a lesson in commitment, devotion, and the unbreakable bond between a heart and its beloved. In a world where time moves fast and memories fade, Hachiko stands as a beacon of faithfulness, a silent guardian of the station, forever waiting, forever watching. This is not just a story, it is a true account of one of the most loyal dogs in history. Hachiko's unwavering devotion took place in Japan, at the Shibuya Station in Tokyo. His tale has inspired countless people, and to this day, his statue remains one of the most visited landmarks in Japan. The world will always remember Hachiko, the dog who waited, proving that love and loyalty never fade.